The morning mist hung low over the pine forest as Robert Harrison drove his sleek sedan along the winding country road. At 58 years old, he'd built an empire from nothing, but lately, the emptiness of his mansion echoed louder than any boardroom applause. He was returning from yet another business meeting when he noticed something unusual ahead. A woman in a white lace dress knelt by an ancient oak tree at the forest's edge. Her blonde hair caught the filtered sunlight as she bent over something on the ground. Robert slowed his vehicle. Something about the scene pulled at him. Perhaps it was the way her shoulders trembled, or how carefully she arranged whatever lay before her on a pale blanket. As he drew closer, his heart lurched. Two tiny babies, identical twins, wrapped in soft blue blankets. The woman was crying, her hands lingering over them as if memorizing every detail. Robert pulled over and stepped out. The woman looked up, startled, her face streaked with tears. She couldn't have been more than 30, with kind eyes that held an ocean of sorrow. "Please," she whispered, "please don't judge me." Robert approached slowly, his polished shoes crunching on the wet grass. "What's happening here?" The woman's name was Sarah Mitchell. Between broken sobs, her story unfolded. A waitress at a roadside diner. The father had vanished when she told him about the pregnancy. She'd worked through her entire pregnancy, saving every penny. But twins meant double everything. The hospital bills had crushed her. Her landlord had evicted her 3 days ago. "I have nothing," she said, her voice barely audible. "No family, no home. I've been sleeping in my car with them. They're hungry and I can't watch them suffer because of me." She looked down at her sons, her hands trembling. "I thought if I left them here, someone good would find them. Someone who could give them what I cannot. The hospital, the police. Someone would make sure they have a chance." Robert's throat tightened. He'd seen poverty in spreadsheets, donated to charities for tax purposes. But this was real, raw. A mother's love meeting impossible circumstances. "What are their names?" he asked gently. "I haven't named them," Sarah whispered. "I thought it would be easier if I didn't." Robert knelt beside her, his expensive coat touching the damp ground. He looked at the two sleeping infants, their tiny chests rising and falling in perfect rhythm. They were peaceful, unaware of the heartbreak surrounding them. "Sarah," he said carefully, "what if there was another way?" She looked at him with hollow eyes. "There is no other way. I've tried everything. What if I helped you?" Sarah shook her head. "I don't need pity. I need a miracle." "Then maybe I'm here to give you one," Robert said. The words surprised him as much as they did her. Over the next hour, sitting beside that old oak tree, Robert listened. He didn't interrupt. He didn't offer quick solutions. He simply listened as Sarah poured out months of struggle, fear, and desperate love. When she finished, Robert spoke slowly. 20 years ago, my wife and I lost our only child. A daughter. She was 3. After that, my wife left. Said she couldn't look at me without seeing everything we'd lost. I buried myself in work, made millions, but I never stopped being a father without a child. Sarah's tears fell fresh. "I'm so sorry." "So am I," Robert said. "Sorry I let grief make me forget what matters." "But maybe we can help each other." He explained his plan carefully. He owned a property across town, a comfortable home that sat empty. She and the boys could live there, no rent. He would cover the medical bills, childcare expenses, everything they needed. In return, she would let him be part of their lives. Not as someone who owned them, but as someone who cared. "I'm not trying to buy your children," he said firmly. "I'm trying to give you the chance to raise them yourself." Sarah studied his face, searching for deception. She found only sincerity and a loneliness that mirrored her own. "Why?" she asked. "Why would you do this?" Robert looked at the twins. "Because maybe these boys and their mother are the family I've been missing. And maybe I'm the help you've been praying for. Sometimes life gives us second chances in unexpected ways." Sarah picked up one of her sons, holding him close. "I don't even know your name." "Robert Harrison." "And I think we should give these boys proper names, don't you?" Through tears and tentative smiles, they talked. Sarah named her sons James and Lucas Mitchell. Robert held each of them, his experienced businessman's hands surprisingly gentle with such fragile life. That afternoon, Robert's sedan followed Sarah's battered car to his empty property. The house came alive that day in ways it hadn't in years. Baby cries replaced silence. Sarah's laughter, nervous but real, echoed through the halls. Over the following months, something beautiful grew. Robert visited several times a week, bringing groceries, baby supplies, and eventually his presence became the most valuable gift. He learned to change diapers, warm bottles, and rock fussy babies to sleep. Sarah enrolled in online courses to become a nurse. Robert paid the tuition without hesitation. She wanted to build something for her sons, and he respected that drive. On the twins' first birthday, they gathered in the backyard. Sarah had made a simple cake. Robert brought far too many toys. As James and Lucas smashed cake into their happy faces, Sarah turned to Robert. "You saved our lives," she said. Robert shook his head. "No, you three saved mine. I was just existing. You reminded me what it means to live." Years passed in the steady rhythm of childhood. School plays, skinned knees, birthday parties. Robert became Uncle Robert to the boys, a constant presence who showed up not out of obligation, but love. When James and Lucas turned 10, they asked Sarah about their father. She told them the truth gently. Then Lucas asked, "But we have Uncle Robert, right?" "Yes," Sarah smiled. "We have Uncle Robert." Robert, standing in the doorway, felt his eyes well up. He thought of that misty morning by the oak tree, how close he'd come to simply driving past, how one decision to stop, to care, had transformed 4 lives. That evening, after the boys went to bed, Sarah and Robert sat on the porch. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you hadn't stopped that day?" she asked. Robert was quiet for a moment. "I think about it often, and I'm grateful every day that I did. You taught me that wealth isn't measured in bank accounts. It's measured in moments like these." Sarah reached over and squeezed his hand. "We're family, Robert. The family we chose to become." He nodded, unable to speak past the lump in his throat. Under the same stars that had witnessed their desperate beginning, they sat together. A mother who'd found strength in impossible circumstances, a man who'd rediscovered his heart, and 2 boys sleeping peacefully inside, never knowing how close they'd come to a different story. Sometimes the greatest gifts arrive wrapped in our darkest moments. Sometimes kindness is simply stopping when others drive past. And sometimes family isn't about blood or circumstance. It's about showing up again and again. With open hearts and outstretched hands, that's what love looks like. That's what grace means, and that's what happened the morning Robert Harrison saw everything and chose compassion over convenience.